dose of truth since I'm not on daily, even though podcasts are released daily. Anyway, guys, we've got a bang up show for you today. Everything from a shutdown uh, to the pro life movement to what's happening in Iran or with Iran, what's happening with China, what's happening in Minneapolis with Tom Homan coming on board. But last week there was some big news that took place, and frankly, it didn't get enough coverage, in my opinion. And I think that's largely due to President Trump's trip to Davos, not to mention everything that was transpiring in Minneapolis, everything that the left is attempting to do. And we'll talk about that as well. And obviously, you've had the shootings there with Renee Good, with Alex Preddy. We'll get into that. But I wanted to bring on my guest from the American Principles Project, Anthony Labruna.
LaBruna.
LaBruna. I'm sorry, Anthony. So Anthony LaBruna, because honestly, Anthony, I believe that it is going to be crucial for the pro-life movement, for President Trump, quite frankly, and the pro-life movement to help him and help Republicans win the midterms. Do you agree with that?
Oh, I do full heartedly. I'll start with this. We're going to need all Republicans to get out and vote in
Sure.
2026. But a huge portion of that voting demographic is going to be the life movement. And, with President Trump and what he's done so far, and with what JD Vance, our vice president, has done, going out and talking for the second time, 2 years in a row, to the March for Life, I think they're taking it very seriously. And they're going to need that in 2026. Especially when we want to keep the House and the Senate. And if all else fails, we're going to have to hold one of the chambers so that President Trump can get stuff done.
All right, let me ask you this, Anthony. Okay, so let's just be blunt here. When it comes to President JD Vance, I was a little skeptical of him. I love President or Vice President, I'm sorry, JD Vance, but he seemed a little iffy when it came to the pro-life movement at one point in time. Do you guys get the sense that that's changed, or you feel more comfortable with the Vice President?
I think he's trending the right way. That's the best way to say it.
Okay,
I think there's advisors in this administration that are not lifers to the core. And you deal with that with most administrations. Not
sure.
every Republican administration has been the most pro life, but the life movement is the group that's going there pushing the needle in the right direction for the guys to take office. Um, I know that there has been grumblings about the Hyde Amendment. We want to see that uh, as President Trump asked. We got to be flexible. Republicans shouldn't be flexible on that. Uh, for a big part of the reason is that the life movement has been able to secure Republican victories across the country. And with that being the case, there needs to be some loyalty. And I think President Trump and JD Vance are moving and trending in the right direction. Um, and I think also on our end, for groups who represent life and are respectful of the sanctity of life, we have to be a little bit patient, right? I think we want to see everything move as soon as possible, as the moment we take power. But that's just not the case with government. It moves very slowly, which is a positive thing. And I think most of the pro-life groups and most of the pro-life voters understand that now. And we've seen a lot of major victories from admin one under 45, President 45, President Trump, and now 47. So I think we've been patient. I think we're still learning that to have that patience. But I think it's crucial that we, as a pro-life movement, stay involved and stay engaged for the 2026 midterms. Otherwise, we're going to be a lame duck presidency, and we're not going to see a lot of stuff move if we don't guarantee victories in 2026.
Speaking of the Hyde Amendment, again, I'm speaking to Anthony Labruna of American Principles Project. Speaking of the Hyde Amendment, so basically, listen, we don't want any federal funding of abortions in legislation in any funding bills, and that totally makes sense to me. There's a lot of people on the conservative side, Republican side, or just Trumpsters that are like, why do you guys always have to talk about abortion? What's the big deal? So on, et cetera. Listen, first off, as Christians, we are pro-lifers. We love life, and I love your life, quite frankly. And I don't want to pay for killing babies. I mean, if you want to pay for killing babies, then you do it on your own dime. I don't think I should be forced by the hands of the federal government to pay for some chick's abortion. I'm just not down for that. It makes no sense. I don't understand why people that claim to love liberty wants to reach into my pocket, Anthony, and steal my money in order to pay for other people's abortion. It just doesn't make sense to me at all. I will say this: when it comes to President Trump, he often surprises me. I realize he's a transactional president. I don't think he's the most pro-life president, but I think he's done the most pro-life things as president. I mean, I have to admit he's surprised me, and just been great at many of the pro-life issues. Fighting back, there's a couple of things that I want to make mention of. Well, obviously, we made mention of the Hyde Amendment. First off, being vocal and participating in the March for Life. I think that's pretty cool. But another couple of things he did, if I can pull them up. Um, oh, what is it? He just banned, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, now I can't find it in my notes. Basically, international spending for abortions as well. The Mexico City policy, if I recall correctly, am I on
Correct.
target with that?
You are. They've expanded the Mexican City policy, uh, and I think that's crucial, right? We don't want our tax dollars going to foreign countries in the first place, but even more, we don't want it being spent outside the U.S. To push an anti or a pro woke left agenda with other countries. And I think by President Trump, what he did, his actions to expand the Mexico City policy, it's a major victory for the pro life movement and for taxpayers here at home. We shouldn't be spending any of our taxpayer dollars pushing forth a pro left agenda across the rest of this world. And so I think that's a major victory. But he's had some major victories here at home as well by allowing to keep the defund of taxpayer dollars here at home on abortion with Medicare. And we're no longer funding research for institutes that use fetal tissues to conduct their research. So those are some major victories for the Republican Party. And the one thing I'd say is actions speak louder than words. And President Trump has done a great job. He doesn't just talk the talk, he actually comes forth, puts action in place, and gets things done for the pro life movement. I can't remember in my lifetime, President Bush doing anything like the sorts. And we've only had, in my short lifetime, I've had two Republican presidents. That's George W. Bush and Donald J. Trump. So I think he's done a great job ensuring that we get these pro life victories here at home and abroad.
And I think it just in a broader sense. Again, I'm speaking with my guest, excuse me, Anthony Labruna of American Principles Project. I just think just in a broader conversation, even Anthony, I think the pro life movement is important beyond what even people that are either skeptical or perhaps they consider themselves pro choice. Maybe maybe they just don't even really take the time to think about abortion, as it were. But not only I think are pro-lifers some of the strongest voters when it comes to President Trump and elevating him into the White House, fighting in the midterm, so on, etc. But I think this speaks of what we see going on globally too, with these global elitists, the people that we've seen at Davos. There is a weird fascination to want to depopulate the earth, and I think abortion is just one of those things. So for some of you people out there that you might be a little wishy-washy when it comes to abortion, what climate change, the whole man-made climate change agenda, I think that's about depopulating the earth. There's plenty of things that the left does. The trans movement. I mean, pretending like men can be women, women can be men. The whole feminist movement. Women don't want to marry men. I think this plays a larger part. I think. What do you have to say about that, Anthony?
Well, I think, look, the abortion issue was a test track for how far they can push it. And they
That's
won.
good.
Democrats won on that issue for a long time until President Trump came around, right? We had Republicans buckling and they didn't want to talk about the issue. But let's be fierce. Let's Republicans stand up and fight. And I think our breaking point was the trans issue, right? That's what APP has done. We've talked about the trans issue, but it stems from them trying to push the agenda, starting with the life issue. And Republicans buckled, and when the trans issue came around, we wouldn't buckle, and we're not going to buckle on that. And we're going to fight even harder, and we're going to push back on what they did on trans, trying to take care of our children. For the Democrats, it's not about life. It's not about sanctity of life. It's about control, right? And so they're going to use abortion and the trans issue to control the American
Good.
people, and we're not going to allow that.
I love that. I love that. I love the way that you frame that. That makes a lot of sense to me, particularly with, I mean, this is abortion kind of is the starter. They start with abortion and then it's the trans movement, so on, et cetera. What a great way to put it. Anthony LaBruna, where can people go to find you and support your organization real
Uh,
quickly?
AmericanPrinciplesProject.org, or go visit us at APP Project Twitter and APP1776 on Instagram.
All right. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you joining us and I appreciate the work you guys do.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Anthony, thank you, man. That was such a great point you made. I'm kind of mad I didn't even think about it. I always like to try to make the smarter point in an interview, and you just beat me. So that was that was a good point. It's kind of a starter. I don't know why I never thought about it in those terms, but that
It's
was
the
good
test
stuff.
track, right? So if you
Yeah.
ever need us, we love you. We love supporting your show. So if you ever need us on anything, let us know, and we're glad to jump on and support you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate what you guys are doing. Tell Terry I said hello.
Will do, sir. Have a good
All right.
night.
All right. You take care.
Bye.
Guys, you are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. This is just a quick break. Please make sure you subscribe to the program, like, share, and subscribe wherever you go to get your podcast, particularly on YouTube. Spotify is a good place. Rumble, another place. But like, share, and subscribe. Also, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show. At the Carl Jackson Show is where you can go. Where you can go to find us. Before I get back here, Gabe, let me. So I appreciate again you guys tuning in. Please Instagram and Facebook at Carl Jackson Show, at the Carl Jackson Show. Give me just a minute here. I want to make sure that I pull up some of these cuts because I want to get into. We're going to be talking about. There's so much that I want to get to tonight, guys. It's not even funny. Honestly, I am going to get to the Minneapolis, Minnesota thing. Obviously, that is crucial. Tom Homan stepping in. That is a very big deal. And I think it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out well. So we'll get into that. Forgive me for just a sec. I'm going to go into my outline because I forget some of it. Um, make sure that I cover everything. Okay. So let me just pull up a couple of things real quick here. And again, I appreciate you guys tuning in to the program. I'm sorry, guys, because I am literally looking at a cut sheet. I want to make sure that I pull up the right cuts for you guys. Gabe, can you remember where we left off cut number wise last on Monday? Okay. Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Man, right on. And then we're going to be joined by John Lott at the top of the hour. Guys, I'm going to give you a bunch of reasons why you should support ICE and why they are heroes, even considering this shooting that occurred with Alex Britt. I got to be honest with you that shooting looked really bad, but the more news that comes out, I in my opinion, the officer should be every single one of them should be let off, and I'll explain. I'll explain why. I'm going to wait till John Lott comes on to get into that a little at the top of the hour a little more, but I want to make sure I cover some of the Rubio stuff as well. If I can find any Rubio, Dr. Oz, County's being gaslit right now, communists and social man. The down the road doctrine. Cut number 23, maybe. Sorry, Gabe. Oh, number 23, 27, 23, 23, 27. All right, let's go to cut number. Let's start with cut number 26. Let's come right back in with cut number 26. If we could, Gabe. Again, you're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. This is your daily dose of objective truth. I am sorry, guys. Got the cut sheet a little later than I expected, so I want to make sure I play the right cuts for you and I have the right numbers for you. 27, 26, and 28 are all Rubio. All right, let's get back to it, Gabe. Yep.
The Constitution by bombing a capital, blockading a country, and removing elected officials. And we certainly wouldn't tolerate it, nor would I if someone did it to us.
Well, we didn't remove an elected official. We removed someone who was not elected, and it was actually an indicted drug trafficker in the United States. And their system.
Our laws, indicted under our laws. Look, Bolsonaro says that Da Silva is not really the president of Brazil. Our president said Biden wasn't really the president. Hillary Clinton said in 2016 Trump wasn't the president. So you have these arguments, and I agree with you. It probably was, and most likely was, most assuredly was a bad election. He wasn't really elected. But at the same time, if that's our predicate, and you don't have to come to us because it's a drug bust, we're just removing somebody, you can see where it leads to, and it leads to chaos. And that's why we have rules like the Constitution, so we don't get so far out there that presidents can do whatever they want. It is this check and balance. And I would argue for 70 years we've been going the wrong way. It isn't just this president, but it's a debate that I think is worth having.
Okay, so that was Senator Rand Paul with Marco Rubio. Actually, there's more cuts that I want to play for you guys. Listen, the title of this particular segment of the show is The Dunn Road Doctrine, Pro-Life and Pro-Liberty. And again, I'm going to get to, I do want to get to the Minnesota shooting also. I'm going to defend ICE here, so you guys are going to want to stay tuned for that. That's coming up at the 8 p.m. hour. We're going to have John Lott on to talk about that, and I think that's going to be extremely important. And I also want to get to the ICE rioter and the ICE rioter, and that is Alex Britt, because I do believe. Listen, I think that every single one of those ICE agents. I'm not saying this just because I'm a Trump supporter, but every single one of those ICE agents, in my opinion, if I was on a jury, unless there was overwhelming evidence, I'm going to explain to you why I would go ahead and literally, I would let them off the hook. And I have no problem saying that. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to minimize the life of Alex Britt or Renee Good, but they made some really, really stupid decisions. And also, there's something going on that is so much bigger than them that we need to get into. But when it comes to Rubio, and we're going to go back to some more Marco Rubio videos momentarily here, because I think this is important. The reason why, and nobody else is talking about this, but we're talking about it here. The reason why I brought on Anthony LaBruno of American Principles Project is simply because life is absolutely important. I understand Rand Paul's point. I honestly don't believe, when you go back to the founders, that they intended for Congress to have these powers. Even as I'm starting to read more, even when it comes to declaring war, that wasn't necessarily a huge congressional thing. And I don't want to get off course and say something that's incorrect. So I'm going to have to study a little more deeply on the particular issue. But the president has the right under the War Powers Act to go in and basically start stuff. He's got like 60 days. He can inform Congress that he's doing it, and then he has to either withdraw. They have to approve at a certain point. But Marco Rubio is absolutely right. Listen, the guy wasn't in power. You had Senator Rand Paul offering hypotheticals, and I think he's off on that. I want to play a couple more clips if we could go to cut number 27. But what President Trump is doing, it's life and liberty. And what we're doing is spreading life, I think, not around the globe, but also fighting for life in the Western Hemisphere, and frankly, fighting for the life and the soul of America in general. That's why I love this Done Road Doctrine, the Monroe Doctrine. Basically, anybody that messes with us in our Western Hemisphere, we want to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that people around us love them, and as much as we love them. You know what I mean? And we want to make sure that our enemies aren't in our backyard. We don't want Venezuela catering to China. You see, that's going to blow up in their face. That's not what we want. Cut number 27, if we could, Gabe. We have cut 27.
So you had basically 3 of our primary opponents in the world operating from our hemisphere from that spot. It was also a place where you had a narco-trafficking regime that openly cooperated with the FARC and the ELN and other drug trafficking organizations using their national territory. It was an enormous strategic risk for the United States, not halfway around the world, not in another continent, but in the hemisphere in which we all live. And it was having dramatic impacts on us, but also on Colombia and on the Caribbean basin and all sorts of other places. It was an untenable situation, and it had to be addressed.
Okay, some more Marco Rubio. Let's just go on down the list if we could. Let's go to cut number 29.
What's in the realm of the Department of State?
Well,
I think your questions are better directed to the Department of Justice.
Enemies Act,
but I would tell you
which is
that
a wartime, which is something that
yeah, but you're asking
this lady is such a joke.
Can be invoked during
right,
wartime. It's only been invoked during the War of 1812, World War I, and World War II.
You're
it's only been invoked 3 times, and this president is invoking it.
So what Tammy Duckworth is doing is
campaigning.
campaigning.
The domestic application of a law that's best directed to the Department of Justice.
It's
no,
not
it
a
is,
complication.
because you're asking me something to opine on something that's in the realm of the Department of Justice in terms of its domestic application. I can tell you that the United States is most certainly confronting terrorist and criminal organizations operating in our hemisphere that pose a grave danger to the United States. Anyone who believes that gangs that flood our country with fentanyl or cocaine are not threats to the United States is not living in reality and certainly does not reflect the opinion of most Americans.
The president already said that he was ready to put American troops in Venezuela again. So we're
Okay, so that's Tammy Duckworth, and again, this is Secretary of State Marco Rubio going at it, going back and forth. Let's just go down. Let's go down the line. Let's go to cut number 30, because I think this stuff is extremely important of what President Trump is trying to do. And frankly, guys, I'm going to get into Minnesota. I'm going to get into the group chats as well, because I want you guys to understand that there are foreign entities that are at war with us. And this is what frustrates me. You get called a neocon because if you think America, America first is China last. And that's what I believe. I believe that America first means that China is last. Why do you say that? And this is why I had Stephen Mosher on last week. The reason being is somebody's going to be the dominant power in the world. Guys, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not, sadly, we are the dominant power in the world. We should be, because we are the best country in the world, not because our people are better, but because our system is better. Carl, our system is systemically racist. Then you guys should tell all the people that are busting into our country, that want to be American, that want to be in this country. You should tell the over 10 million people that invaded our country, flooded our borders during the Joe Biden administration, that this country sucks because they were willing to risk life and limb to get here. So you are, I'm sorry, a fool if you think that America is such a horrible place. There's a reason why when the gates are open at the borders that people flood into the United States and not leave the United States. You have some stars talking about, oh, we're gonna leave the United States. Ellen DeGeneres and these Hollywood stars, these Hollywood liberals, they leave America, they leave their property, they keep their property inside of the United States. They have millions of dollars where they can still be isolated when they move to another country, and then they opine on X because they still can't get enough of America. So if you're going to leave, and all of the money that you made here as a result of the United States being such a great and generous nation, give it up. The reason why these people are stars is because they were born and raised inside of the United States. So Ellen DeGeneres, what's the lady that constantly goes after Trump? Rosie O'Donnell, leave all of the money that you made in the United States, investments, money, movies, so on, etc. Just leave it all here. If America is systemically racist, why would you want in your hands to touch any of that money? Leave it here. They won't do it because these people are fake. These people are frauds. I don't even know if they're trying to be frauds as much as they are just trying to virtue signal. I don't know. But this is why I appreciate what President Trump is doing, even with Senator Marco Rubio. Did we already play? Let's play cut number 31.
Were taken or lost and engaged themselves in both civic and economic life. But again, I remind everybody, on Friday will mark the 4 weeks since this happened. I get it. We all want like something immediately, but this is not a frozen dinner you put in a microwave and in 2.5 minutes it comes out ready to eat. And these are complex things, and we've seen this play out. I've used the example of Paraguay and Spain. There are others where there's a transition from autocracy to democracy. It's not linear. It's, in some cases, there are ups and downs along the way, but it's trending in the right direction so far, with a recognition that more work needs to be done.
Thanks for your hard work.
Senator Booker.
I just want to start by saying what's plain, frankly, be plain to Senator Rubio and plain to members here, is that it should.
Okay, let's go to cut number 28. If we have time to play this real quickly here, Gabe. Last cut for this segment.
Last question is this. You talked about the speech in Davos. Here's something the president said in Davos. I'm helping NATO until the last few days when I told them about Iceland.
Okay.
They loved me. They're not here for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. Our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland, so Iceland has already cost us a lot of money. President repeatedly mistook Iceland for Greenland, right? We're not mad at Iceland. They haven't cost us any money. The president just mistook the two countries for each other, correct?
Yeah, he meant to say Greenland, but I think we're all familiar with presidents that have verbal stumbles. We've had presidents like that before. Some made a lot more than this one.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Nice try. No, it was checkmate is what it was, because these people are complete and utter frauds, and Rubio set them straight. We'll be back. I can't believe these people are so fake. All right. I want to get into, and I'll bring you guys some news as well. Welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Sorry, I'm sitting here with my stack of brilliance, and I am trying to not get confused and remember all the things that I want to talk about tonight. Make sure I don't lose that. But this is all the work that I do for you guys. I appreciate you guys tuning in and being out there. Let's do this. Where do we have the video? Let me find the video because I want to come back in with a gentleman. Sadly, that was shot. But man, I'm going to tell you why. I think that's where's that video? Oh, yeah, it's 30. Actually, it's 37 and 38. 37, 38. Pretty. Let's do this. Let's come back in with number 38. I'm going to respond to that, but I want everybody to see it. There's foul language in here, so guys, please be prepared for this. This will be later on as this airs on the Salem News Channel. Obviously, we'll clean this up, but if you're concerned about bad language, I just want to brace you that it is you're going to hear some of that right now. But let's go ahead and roll it. Let's come right back in, Gabe, with cut number, what did I just say? 38. Okay.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. They continued to hold the man down before they retreat and he walks away.
Man.
The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Preddy was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband. Here, he continues to stand at the scene.
You can see his gun tucked. And honestly, listen, guys.
On the day he was killed, the Department of Homeland Security claims Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, approached officers holding a handgun. That claim has been contradicted by analysis of bystander videos from multiple news investigations, which concluded that Preddy was holding a phone, not a gun, when he was pinned to the street.
Okay, we can cut this video. Listen, the purpose of showing this video, and I hate to kick a man when he's down, literally down, as a matter of fact, dead. But here's the bottom line. Here's what we learned. We learned that this guy is no angel. He's no Jesus Christ. All right, this guy isn't the nicest guy out there. Clearly, you can see that on the video. Well, Carl, does that mean that ICE agents should have shot him? No, not necessarily, but I totally understand why, and I totally get it. Now make the case. First off, let's talk about this guy's temper. He has a violent temper. This guy was an ICU nurse. This is how he felt about ICE. Oh, and by the way, you guys, we'll get into a story momentarily about an illegal immigrant that literally raped an 11-year-old girl and held her 10-year-old sister at knife point while she sat there and watched. So we'll get into that, because those are the type of people that Alex Preddy here and Renee Good died for. That's who they died for. These people have been brainwashed. But I want you to keep this in mind. This is an ICU nurse. If this nurse was to find out that you were a Trump supporter, that you believed in closed borders, sovereignty, that you wanted to get illegal immigrant or alien criminals out of the country, what might he have done if he was by your bedside? That's what you have to be concerned about. That guy was completely unhinged. So it blows the narrative up that he was some sweet little angel. And again, I hate that. Listen, I don't want to do this. I'm not here to try to get clicks about this guy, but he was an ICU nurse. The guy was completely unhinged. He had a horrible temper. He was violent towards law enforcement. Listen, guys, you don't get violent with law enforcement. This is not a Second Amendment issue. All right. The way that people are talking about the Second Amendment is driving me crazy. You have a right to carry a weapon, even in a protest. However, if you intend to confront police officers, wrestle police officers, attack police officers, you're an idiot if you're carrying a gun while you're doing that, because you're bound to get shot. And frankly, in my opinion, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Now, all of this will be played out. It has to be investigated. This guy should have been arrested. Had he been arrested, then he would probably be alive today. Maybe, who knows? Because what he just committed there were felonies. Spitting on cops, kicking their lights out. Are you kidding me? Wrestling with cops? That's not exactly a misdemeanor. That's not something that even some more violent criminals, they wouldn't do that. And then I look at these ICE agents, I would free every single one. The reason why I say I would free every single one, when you consider the video of Alex Preddy being shot, and listen, I understand now, right, that he was down on the ground. You had one cop turn around. Apparently, his gun was grabbed. I didn't even think that was an ICE agent because they grabbed the firearm from him or whatever. But look at and listen to all the noise. This isn't my own take. Listen to all of the noise that you heard in that video, from the crowd just shouting to whistles blowing in order to just confuse and frustrate ICE agents. So imagine they get into a confrontation where they see a gentleman has a gun. If, and we'll find this out later, if somebody yells gun, or if one of those people thinks that he has a gun, or if someone says gun, I can completely understand why an ICE agent might think, given the fact that they have been literally, I mean, just treated like dirt, treated like dirt, and stalked and called all types of names, Nazis, the Gestapo, people tracking them, trying to dox them and their families. I can see why these guys will be on high alert. And I'm going to get into what happened with Tom Homan today, because it's absolutely insane to me that this stuff could have ended a long time ago. But again, let me just reiterate this. A few things that I want you to remember. And this is why I would absolutely free every single one of these ICE agents that are under investigation for this Alex Preddy shooting. It's not that somebody didn't mess up and make a mistake. And we'll get into that with Tom Homan. And I think Tom Homan to the rescue. Tom Homan saved the day, in my opinion. I think that was a great swap on President Trump's part. Doesn't mean Bovino can't do his job. Doesn't mean Kristi Noem can't do her job effectively. It just means that Tom Homan is better at this. He should be the face and voice of Trump's border policy if you want to continue to get things done in the way that people want. But just a couple of things to remember. Again, this guy is an ICU nurse. Is that the type of temperament you want inside of a hospital? This guy was unhinged, bad temper, not just a bad temper, a violent temper. This guy had no respect for authority. He was also an obstructionist. He wasn't a peaceful protester. He was a rioter. He was an obstructionist. He was interfering in law enforcement operations. You guys saw the video of him previously before he was shot, literally trying to direct traffic but block ICE just like Renee Good did, except with his body. Again, I wish he had been arrested. Maybe he would be alive today. But given all the chaos surrounding those ICE officers, and given the fact that we now know that they had an experience with him before, or at least some ICE agents did, it's no wonder that they felt like this guy could escalate to a point where he could use a gun. He gave the ICE agents reason to believe, now seeing that behavior, that he gave them reason to believe that he could escalate the situation to such a point that he would kill them, because you're not that deranged, you're not that incensed and crazy if you don't have the propensity to be violent. And I'm sorry, this guy is not who they told us he was. So it's sad. It's sad that he's gone. How much time, Gabe? Sad that he's gone. It's sad that he's gone, but he's gone. Now, I want to get into this. And Bill O'Reilly talked about this. The first person that brought this to my attention, or everyone's attention, I think, was Representative Anna Paulina Luna. But Red State had a great column about these anti-ICE signal chats. You guys have seen some of this video. We'll play some of it. I got so much to get to. It's absolutely insane. And we got John Lott joining us at the top of the hour. I got so much to get to. I don't even know if I can do it all, but I'm definitely going to try, because it is worth covering as much as possible. But I want to touch on these signal chats real quick. We'll try to find some video from earlier in the week in case you missed some of those. But Red State had a great column. The anti-ICE signal chats, Walz administration implicated, foreign funding revealed. So what you see taking place inside of Minneapolis, Minnesota, yes, it's a bunch of crazy left-wing nut jobs, but it is organized. These people, literally everybody from Alex Preddy to Renee Good, They were on, I believe, different ICE Watch organizations, but they were communicating through signal chats. Now we know that there are foreign donors that played a part in this, and we'll go through this. We'll hit the highlights of the organization. Let me just give you a taste of this. According to Red State, these groups are really sophisticated. They're set up geographically, many of them within the city of Minneapolis. They're generally divided by city council district. They also cover St. Paul, Bloomington, and other suburbs. They start, according to Red State, a new chat every day. They delete the prior day's chat because of Signal's encryption that they've been using. It's exceedingly difficult for the deleted messages to be recovered unless some of the participants were recording those messages just prior to deletion. They've got a whole organization going. This is organized crime is what it is. We'll be back to talk about this more. Sure. Listen, Rubio, hey, Tim, Rubio is a rock star. I got to be honest with you. I wasn't the biggest fan of Marco Rubio as a senator. I thought he was a good senator. I didn't think he was a great senator. Um, he's really been impressing me. Secretary of State. I feel like that is his calling. I really do. He's really been impressing me. Oh, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it, man. Really appreciate that. We intend to keep up um calling them out, really. I want to see what this is about. Okay. We'll go to where do we have the Bill O'Reilly piece? They'll be the right wing. 637. Where's Bill O'Reilly? Tom Homan, Tom Homan. Did we play? Where's the Bill O'Reilly one? Did he put that one on here? King. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's do this. All right. I'll cue you up to cut number 22. We'll play some of the Homan ones. What we may do, Gabe, is we'll interview John Lott, and then we may come back and just finish up this. Will that be that'll be difficult. That'll be difficult. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm ready. Take a swig. Officially ready. All right, welcome back to the program. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our show, The Carl Jackson Show. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Rumble, wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. All things social media, X, Instagram, and Facebook at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show. We would certainly appreciate that. Okay, I want to go to a clip, and now, Gabe, you wouldn't believe this, but I lost the clip here. Cut number 22. And just cue it up for me, Gabe. But let me just go through a little more of this Red State column, because I want you guys to understand what's going on. And then we'll play Bill O'Reilly. He's been talking about this. I saw Laura Ingraham talk about this, but also Anna Paulina Luna several months ago, maybe even close to a year ago, was the first person that I heard talking about the funding going into some of these, like the anti-Semitic riots that we saw on these college campuses. And they were organized, they were paid for, and it wasn't just George Soros. There's another billionaire, actually other billionaires that are involved, literally trying to take the United States down. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to get us to fight against each other, and it's working. And as long as you've got useful idiots, frankly, and forgive me, like the Alex Preddy, yeah, I know he was an ICU nurse. Renee Good, I'm sure intellectually, I guess, They were smart people. I would assume that Alex Preddy is, given the fact that he was an ICU nurse. You can't be a dum-dum. But it is weird. It's like the theory of stupidity by oh man, now I forget the by Bonhoeffer that Bonhoeffer talks about. You've got intellects that are that can be dumb as all get out. They're naive. They buy into this moral relativism, and they buy into this. They're unchurched, so they try to find other ways to kind of worship God or to feel righteous and to feel moral. And they take on these causes. They take on, government is their God. What the left says goes. And when government doesn't go the way that they want to, then something is wrong. It is the weirdest thing. But this stuff is organized. Going back to this Red State column real quick. If this is Jennifer Van Laar, she's an excellent writer for Red State. I believe the editor in chief, if I'm not mistaken, of redstate.com. But anyway, she talked about what Cam Higbee and another gentleman and Data Republican actually were exposing. Actually, I believe she's a female. But the groups, again, highly sophisticated, using the signal chat within the city of Minneapolis. Again, divided by city council districts. They also cover St. Paul, Bloomington, and other suburbs. Again, they start a new chat daily. They delete the prior day's chat because the signal's encryption. It's really difficult for the deleted messages to be recovered. She writes, unless, say, participants were recording those messages just prior to deletion. Signal also has no screenshots, quote unquote. That's a function that which she writes was undoubtedly was enabled on these chats. So the messages would have to be recorded the way Higbee did by recording using a separate phone. So that is pretty just smart on Cam Higbee's part. They had set emojis that each user puts around their name when they're on shift to indicate what position they were working that shift. We played the video earlier. I'll have to go back and find what number that was, but we played it on Monday. But basically, Cam Higbee just disposing all of the coordination that's going on with these riots inside of Minneapolis, just showing that they're organized. There were even some video. I don't know that we got them. I don't know that we pulled them, but there were literal video of trucks pulling up in Minneapolis. One was a U-Haul truck where they were offloading signs to pass out to some of the obstructionists, to pass out to some of the rioters. Now, Data Republican reported on the funding, and then this is going back to Red State. They published a spreadsheet of 4,000 donors to the effort and their possible identities. They made that publicly downloadable. So Data Republican did that. She also sent a non-redacted spreadsheet to the FBI. So Kash Patel came out earlier. He was asked, I believe, by Benny Johnson. He was on Benny Johnson's show, and they asked if something would be done about it. Tom Homan was asked at his presser as well if anything would be done about it. He said justice is coming. We'll try to play that video for you a little later. I have John Lott coming up at the top of the hour. So I won't be able to play all of the videos that I'd like to play for you. But let's go to cut number 17, and then I'll go back with this. We'll interview with John Lott, and then I'll come back to this topic. And actually, what we're going to talk about with John Lott is actually related to much of this, so you're going to want to stay tuned. But actually, we're going to defend ICE. ICE is thebomb.com. All these people talking about that ICE arrest Americans, all these Americans, and they get it wrong all the time, and they're doing all this and that. John Lott has written a column with more data that just blows that theory out of the water. Let's remind people what was happening in cut number 17, if you would, Gabe. This is Cam Higbee. He had infiltrated and uncovers 200 plus in the anti-ICE, the rioters in Minneapolis, all of their network chat. And some of the people involved, I mean, it's going to blow your mind. Cut number 17, please, Gabe.
Yesterday, investigative journalist Cam Higbee began releasing information obtained after infiltrating the Minneapolis ICE Watch signal chat conversations. And the information that he has found and released to the public is absolutely incredible. He began by releasing screen recordings of their members list, and investigators over on X have been taking that list and researching who these people are when they've decided to use their real names. We're talking about local politicians, we're talking about national journalists, and yes, even people connected directly to Governor Walz himself. Local politicians like Adrin Chowdhury, a St. Paul City Council member, and at the state level, people like Brad Tabke, a Minnesota state representative. Sergio Martinez, a national correspondent for NPR. Hwa Jong Kim, another St. Paul councilwoman. Others have also been identified. Local politician David Snyder has been identified as one of the admins in the anti-ICE signal organization. Minnesota state candidate Anita Smithson, also identified as a dispatcher. And it is now believed that this person, Amanda Noel Kohler, may in fact be the ringleader of what appears to be a very sophisticated, very well-funded, organized crime operation. And here she is smiling with Governor Twinkletoes Sparkle Fingers as a political strategist for his campaign. You know who else is found in these signal chat conversations? Renee Good and Alex Pretty, two people who have lost their lives when conducting domestic terror tactics under the supervision of this organization. So
Quickly, let's play cut number 6. I just want to show people and just remind them, and forgive me, that was actually, I'm glad we played that cut, but that wasn't the one that I was looking for. I was actually looking for cut number 6. Just as a reminder, we played it earlier in the week, but just to refresh your memory, real quick, cut number 6, please, Gabe.
Park. That's us.
Thanks. You could say we've got 2 commuters behind that F-150.
That's confirmed.
Do we have anyone in this call who's at 28th, 29th Pleasant right now? Lokita, you're not there, correct?
Don't wave at them. Do not wave. Correct. I am on 3rd and Lake. I will be there in probably like 2 or 3 minutes.
This is Liv. I'm at Cedar and Lake going west. Do you want me to keep an eye out?
I'm concerned about the reports from the Spanish.
Okay, so we can cut it there. Basically, I just wanted to remind you guys of the video we played earlier. And again, this stuff is organized. That isn't to say that a bunch of lemmings don't go out there and show up, and many of them are lemmings or useful idiots. They go up, they show up, they riot, they obstruct, they interfere in law enforcement operations. There's no doubt that there's many of these people, but the agitators, the people that get it started, are oftentimes organized. They're being paid. They're being paid. You wonder why they can show up within minutes, certain locations. They know exactly where to go. They know exactly where to go in masses, and they show up within minutes, maybe within a couple hours or an hour or so. It's crazy. There's politicians and journalists that are involved, according to Red State. Also, you had a gentleman that is from Canada helping to fund stuff. So Data Republican, again, published a spreadsheet, 4,000 donors to the effort and their possible identities. The first donation to the effort was made by a guy by the name of Johnny Sopatiek, a Canadian who helps run the crowdfunding site Chuffed, Chuffed. All right. Also, the campaign Tending the Soil. They say what to know. They've got some different names for this organization. The campaign is hosted by Chuff. So this is the guy that I just mentioned. Again, he's a Canadian. So that proves that foreigners are involved. You've got politicians and journalists. That Red State mentions the names of the people involved, as Stripe wrote in a piece on Sunday, quote, "It is obvious that a non-trivial number of judges and elected officials are affiliated with the current insurrection as well." Alex Pretty and Renee Good, as this gentleman mentioned, they were part of ICE Watch groups. You have a representative by the name of Brad Tabke that coordinated with the Scott County ICE Watch and was actually a part of some of the group chats. Minnesota State Rep Alex Falconer was a part of the ICE Watch and interference. Adrin Chowdhury, which the gentleman mentioned in the earlier victory, and admin with the same name as on the Minneapolis City Council. So you're talking about elected leaders and officials that are involved in this organized crime ring too. We'll be back with John Lott, I believe. Okay. Let me reach out to John Lott and just make sure He's coming in. Sorry, guys. This is live. This is so. John Lott wrote a fabulous column, and honestly, the work that ICE has been doing has been phenomenal. They don't screw up like a lot of people think, frankly. And the reason why everything looks so bad in Minneapolis is because of the intense pressure, all of these obstructionists, so on, etc. Again, Tom Homan is going to get this thing under control, but I want to make sure. I'm hoping that we can get John Lott on because he wrote a fantastic column. If he's not able to come on, I will. I will just go through the column. But ICE doesn't mess up like people think. They don't mess up as frequently as people think or would have you believe. And I don't know why now I can't find John Lott's column. Oh, you got to be kidding me. This is weird. Okay. Oh, here it is. I put it in the wrong stack. Let's do this. We may have to get started and just bring him in. Forgive me, guys. You are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. And this is our quick in-between break between segments. And sure, we can answer a question. Okay. Okay. We're screaming at a train, telling it to stop in regards to this unrest and pay to play for riot situation. The most efficient way to stamp said train is to cut off its fuel. Stop Soros. Hey Tim, that is definitely a part of it. Okay, John Lott just yeah, I think we need to cut off the train. I'll tell you what. I think we're going to catch a lot of these people, Tim. I really do believe that. But I gotta say honestly, I wish that Trump would have invoked the Insurrection Act. I'm glad he's brought in Tom Homan. I felt like that's something that could have been done much earlier too. I understand what Bavino and Nome were trying to do, but going tit for tat wasn't working, or at least it wasn't playing out well in the public. John Lott, John said he's in the waiting room. Okay, he may have to send a. Okay. Okay. We're gonna try to. If you guys can bear with us just a minute, we're gonna try to get John Lott on. He is trying to connect with us. Okay, man, I don't understand. Okay, you are listening to the Carl Jackson Show. Appreciate you tuning in again at Carl Jackson Show, at the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, forgive me. Please be patient with me. We are trying to connect John Lott, author of More Guns, Less Crime. president of the Crime Prevention Research Institute. He's written a fascinating column when it comes to ICE enforcement, and frankly, their stats are absolutely phenomenal. So I wanted to bring him on to talk about this before we get back to Homan and this signal chat and everything else that's been going on here. Okay. Did you see that, Gabe? Okay. Okay. This is the problem with technology, folks. Forgive me. I want to make sure that we get him on since he's waiting in our lobby per se. I apologize. This is crazy. This is the same thing that happened last time, right? Okay. We'll go through another comment. I just want to tell everyone that Carl has been at it for at least a time since oh, thank you, Barbara. Oh, thank you. Wow, man, it's been that long. Well, thank you, Barbara. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate you being out there and sticking with me too. All right, it looks like we're gonna have to get in contact with John. I can't believe this is happening again. Oh boy. Okay. Just when you think things will be easy. They're not. Oh man, guys, I'm sorry. Hopefully I don't lose 20,000 of you. We're just trying to get John Lott on. We are working on that connection right now. He's been waiting for several minutes. We're basically have a podcast set up. He's technically in our digital waiting room or digital green room, if you will. And for some reason, we're unable to connect to his feed right now. So that's what we're working on. We've been able to get him in, the same type of issues before. So we're hopeful that we can be successful here. Isn't he somewhere where there's serious ice storms? I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Okay, do we have anything? Shall we go on? Okay. He's using Safari. What is... Man, I don't understand. Sorry, guys. We are literally still waiting for him. He's just figured out the right connection here. So hopefully we'll get him on momentarily and we'll start right up. I got plenty of video that I want to show you. If do we have them? Okay, I tell you what. Okay. Okay. If we have to go forward, I mean, we're literally live, and just bring them in when we get them, then we may have to do that. Okay, give me a. Okay. Let's get back to it. Yes. All right, guys, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. John Lott will be joining us momentarily once he's available, or once he's able to connect. We will bring him on. But I just want to go back to some of these chats that are so important, and other people are funding the chaos that you see in Minneapolis. And again, we mentioned earlier as well that Bill O'Reilly, if we could get cut number 22 together, talked about one of the major funders of what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This stuff it's not grassroots. It's not people that are just, fed up. You've got a lot of crazies that are involved from, you got Mayor Fry, you got Governor Tim Walz, you got AG Keith Ellison. All of these people are corrupt to the core. They are corrupt to the core. At least in my opinion, we obviously have AG Ellison on tape, basically working out a quid pro quo with one of the Somalis that was allegedly involved in some of the fraud. Basically, no prosecution, or you get this money, kick me down some to my campaign or what have you. So that is on tape. So there's no denying it on AG Keith Ellison's part. But now these people are going to play ball, and they have to play ball because I do believe there is so much corruption there that actually the Trump administration has leverage. I think Tom Homan has leverage, and these people are going to have to eventually comply. But they're going to do everything they can to fight against President Trump. They're going to do everything they can to fight against these laws. And again, I think it's mostly a distraction from their own corruption, but in the larger scheme of things, again, these people want to win elections, and one of the ways that they win elections is by flooding their zones, flooding their states, flooding their cities with a bunch of illegals. You have a larger population. That means you get more federal funding. That means you get more representation in the House. That means that you get more numbers when it comes to the electoral college vote. And that's exactly what they want. And they want to change the culture. So those are some of the things that they accomplish. Let's play cut number 22. This is Bill O'Reilly exposing one of the funders, at least billionaire funders, when it comes to the Minneapolis riots against ICE. Cut number 22, please, Gabe.
Here's the most important part of this whole thing, unreported, okay? There is a man in Shanghai, China, an American citizen. His name is Neville Roy Singham. He works with the Beijing government. He is funneling millions of dollars into the United States of America through 501s like Party for Socialism and Liberation, Democratic Socialists of America, Minnesota Immigration Rights Action Committee. There he is, okay? Connecticut-born, 71 years old, billionaire tech guy. He is funneling money here to these radical organizations who are then agitating professional people, communists mostly, because Singham's a communist, all right, to go in and foster rebellion. You heard that story reported? That is absolutely true. The man has been investigated by the FBI in the past, this Singham character, okay? This isn't some organic thing. This is a foreign power, Beijing, using this American citizen who lives openly in Shanghai in luxury, knowing that this man is funneling tens of millions, probably more, into this country to try to destroy the government. What the deuce is that? Where are you, New York Times? All right? That's the second part of the story. There's a local federal story, and there's the international story. And I've had it. You don't like what I'm saying? Blank you, because I'm telling you the truth.
Okay, that was Bill O'Reilly. Do we have John Lott? If we have John Lott, let's bring him on. If not, okay. All right, so we'll continue. So that's Bill O'Reilly talking about the funders. And again, you have this guy Neville Roy Singham that is helping to fund all of this chaos that we see. I mean, it's absolutely insane what we're going through. Tom Homan, we'll get to him, and we'll have to go through. We're having difficulties getting John Lott. So basically, I'll go over the numbers. I'll go over the numbers from John Lott's column. I don't know why we're having connectivity problems. And now I'm having connectivity problems with my phone here. But I'll go over these numbers here because I think they're so crucial and so important. So you heard Bill O'Reilly talk about Neville Roy Singham. And this stuff is all fake. It is all a fraud. You need to understand this. It is all a fraud. This is all a setup. This is all AstroTurf and beyond. These people were obstructionists. Alex Preddy, listen, I will give the ICE agents the benefit of the doubt simply because I'm sorry. He put himself in a bad situation. The guy had a violent temper. He was part of the ICE watch. You can hear, if you watch the video that occurred nearly, over a week before he got shot. Just listen to all the whistles that are around, all the commotion, all the yelling. You expect cops to be able to, when they're already on high alert, to hear, to see everything, any wrong move that he made. If he did have a cell phone in his hand, if somebody did yell gun, and all of this stuff will come out. Obviously, it's being investigated. Then you can imagine with the high intensity of that situation that people can go nuts. People can go, I shouldn't say, not ICE agents. I don't mean to say ICE agents will go nuts, but obviously they would be on high alert. It would be very intense. And then if he makes the wrong move, if somebody says gun, you have all these other commotions that are going on. Obviously, things can get confusing. Things can get extremely dangerous. Tom Homan has been warning about this stuff forever. Okay. All right. So we have John Lott on, so we'll bring him on. John, I appreciate you being with us. We are live now, so I don't know why we're having the connection issues, but I'm glad to have you on. I think it's so crucial that people understand what's going on because they think that these ICE agents are really evil people, that they go around arresting Americans. But you've written a column on the New York Post. I encourage every single one of you to read it, or in the New York Post, how Trump's ICE enforcement record blows Obama's out of the water. John, it simply isn't true that these ICE agents are going around and arresting a bunch of American citizens, is it?
No, you're exactly right. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I guess I got sent the wrong link by accident there, but we're all set now. So I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, look, a lot of this started with an article done by ProPublica, which is kind of a left-wing media organization. And they were saying that 170 American citizens had been picked up and detained by ICE. What they kind of left out of the discussion was that 130 of those were people who had either attacked or interfered with ICE agents, so they were committing crimes, and they were arrested because they were committing crimes. That still leaves 40. I mean, one would like it to be zero, but you have to put it in some type of perspective. And what you have to note is that these were people who were picked up along with other illegals that were there. Most of them were held for less than a day, and most of those were just held for an hour or 2 hours, maybe 3, while they were figuring out who they were. And, the thing is, when you look at it, you have to compare it to how many illegals they were picking up. and there are about 600,000 illegals. So you're talking about one American accidentally picked up for every 15,000 illegal aliens that were being picked up, which, again, it would be nice if it was zero. But what I tried to do is say, okay, zero is not the relevant comparison. How does this compare to other administrations? Unfortunately, the Biden administration didn't collect this data. Most of the Obama administration didn't collect this data, but for the last 2 years, 2015 and 2016, they did. And what you find is that
that's odd to me, John. I don't understand why they wouldn't. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but does that strike you as odd?
Well, of course, yeah. No, I was shocked that the Department of Homeland Security didn't have that data. So, I agree with you, and it makes one suspicious. And maybe what I'm going to tell you explains why they're not keeping it. I don't know. But if you go look at the 2 years for the Obama administration, what you find is that the rate that they're picking up American citizens is about 1 for every 4,400 illegals. So that's a mistake rate that's about 3.3 times the mistake rate under Trump last year. So, that's a significant difference. But I don't remember anybody complaining about the much higher rate of mistakes that were occurring under the Obama administration compared to Trump.
And what's amazing, though, I mean, even though you share the difference, or you compare the difference between the mistake rates between the Trump administration, or ICE under Trump, and ICE under Obama, Obama's numbers weren't exactly bad, John. So that means that Trump's numbers are absolutely exceptional. Can you stick with me for another segment? I'm sorry for the mix-up.
Yeah, sure.
All right. All right. Well, we'll be back with John Lott. Guys, ICE are heroes. They are not villains or ICE agents. We'll be back with John Lott. All right, John, we are live. We will have a quick turnaround. So I am not sure what happened, but we will.
Well, it's just I got sent the wrong link. It's those things happen.
Okay. All right.
No big deal.
Okay. I was thinking.
I'm sure people are juggling a lot of different balls, and those things happen.
All right. Well,
so anyway, I was going to say I'd like to pick up on this point about them being heroes and stuff like that, if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, let's do it. Okay. Gabe, let me take a swig and count us back in, por favor. And then after John Lott, we'll go back to some Tom Homan goodies. Did you like that press conference today, John? I loved it.
Oh, I thought he did a great job. And I tell you, the Democrats are in a position right now where, look, all the Trump administration is asking for is people that you in Minnesota have identified as criminals. You turn those people over. And it's pretty clear that Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, is not going to go along with that, So it's really amazing to me how much in New York and other places they refuse to turn over murderers or child rapists or other people who have committed serious violent crimes to ICE. And we can talk about the crime rate stuff if you want.
All right, please. Let's do it. Okay, man, my phone was recording literally all of that because I didn't realize I had the microphone on. All right, Gabe, we are ready as I delete all of this crap. Literally just written a novel. That is
okay.
Crazy.
Well, maybe I don't need to speak now. You already have it recorded. So,
all right, Gabe, are you there? Oh, we're ready. All right, back with my guest, John Lott. He is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. You saw I got that right this time. I did a video. But anyway, we were talking offline for those of you that may have seen about Tom Homan, and we'll get into that, I'm sure, momentarily. And I've got video that I'll play for you later after this interview with John Lott. But I wanted to bring him on because, again, he wrote a fantastic column, as he is. Listen, this is the guy to go to when it's crime, when it's Second Amendment. This is the guy that you want to read. This is the guy that you want to support. Crime Prevention Research Center. Also, again, just find his writings. He's in the New York Post. He's in different outlets as well. But if you Google him, you'll find the latest things that he's written. But I was looking at some of these numbers that you talked about, John, and frankly, you were talking about Obama's numbers and how much better Trump's numbers are compared to Obama's when it comes to, making errors when it comes to arresting American citizens. But I love the way that you clarified again. 170 ICE detained U.S. citizens cited in this guy Stanages, whatever, this guy that was ragging or harassing Caroline Leavitt at a presser, I believe it was, last week, and talking about Renee Good and so on, et cetera. But 170 people that cited, again, 130 were arrested for doing exactly what Alex Preddy and Renee Good were guilty of doing. These people were obstructionists. But the reason why I call them heroes is because you're right. Any error is serious. But you talk about how ICE has made 40 mistakes out of 595,000 arrests. So basically, the mistakes that they make are rare. These people are getting the worst of the worst off the streets. There was a story that broke here, John, where apparently this happened days or so ago, maybe a week or more. You had an illegal alien in Georgia sadly raped an 11-year-old girl, held her 10-year-old sister at knife point. This is what ICE is dealing with. These people are heroes.
Right. Well, and there are a couple points to make here. One is the job under the Trump administration this last year was much more difficult for several reasons than during Obama's time. And the reason is because if an illegal is released into the country, the law has it that you're supposed to take their DNA and you're supposed to confirm what their name is. The Biden administration didn't do either, really. You probably remember the news stories about all these passports and other identifying documents that were dumped at the border right before the illegals would come across.
That's
because they wanted to go and hide their identity. And so they make up a name, and it's very hard. You know, one of the things, the media's done a really poor job, but the Sunday before last, Secretary Kristi Noem was on Face the Nation with Margaret Brennan.
Yes.
And Noem had mentioned that 70% of those who were detained had criminal records. And Margaret Brennan said, no, we've checked it. It's only 47%. And I don't know whether Margaret Brennan just doesn't listen or doesn't understand how the numbers are put together. But what Kristi Noem tried to explain to her was that, look, the 47% is for those who committed a crime in the United States where they were either convicted or charged.
Right.
But there's another 23% that committed crimes in their home countries, that they were either convicted or charged for. And so I don't know if somebody commits murder in the United States or commits murder in their home country or rape in the United States or rape in their home country. It's not obvious to me why I want to draw a big distinction saying, well, it's okay if they committed these serious crimes in their home country, but it's not if they did it here. It tells you something about the individual if they've committed those types of crimes anyplace. But, you have all sorts of other problems with these things that indicate that the ICE agents, not only are they doing a better job in terms of making fewer mistakes, but they're doing it under more difficult conditions. It's not just, you look at things like the assaults on ICE officers. It's up something like 1,347% from what it was in 2024. You look at death threats. Death threats are up like 8,000%. You look at vehicle attacks against ICE agents. It's like 3,200% higher. So you have multiple things. One is it's more difficult now because of the way Biden ran the system to go and identify these individuals. Two, these agents are taking real personal risks that they didn't have to take before. And they're dealing with these individuals who are interfering with the job that they're doing, who are making it more difficult and more time consuming and riskier. So, one of the ironies, both you mentioned Renee Good and Alex Preddy,
Yeah.
that both of them, they should have been arrested earlier.
Yep.
Preddy, there's new video that's come out that the
Played it earlier.
BBC was able to go and verify was him, and even his parents say that it's him, where he was literally physically assaulting ICE agents and just damaging government property. Assaulting an agent is a felony.
Right.
And so here's the irony. If he had been arrested, even if he had put out bail or whatever, which may have been likely, I suspect he would have been a lot more reticent for somebody who's out on bail to go and commit another felony.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, there's a good chance he'd be alive today. Renee Good, even that day that she was shot, she had been interfering all day long with ICE officers. Apparently, she had been doing it for at least a week beforehand. What happened was an ICE officer, finally they had enough of her blocking streets and blocking their ability to drive. They went up, told her that they were going to arrest her, asked her to get out of the vehicle. And at that point, she ran forward and hit the ICE agent that was there, causing him to have internal bleeding. And talk about heroes, this was a guy who just 6 months earlier had been dragged by a car and had to get 33 stitches at that time. So you can understand why he might be a little bit fearful of being hit again by another vehicle. But, here's the irony. The public officials in Minneapolis bear responsibility for these deaths. And the reason is that if they had arrested, if they had helped protect law enforcement, it's very likely that these things wouldn't have spiraled out of control. You have lots of liberal areas in the country, like Austin, Texas, where you don't see these types of things happening because people know that even though they're very left-wing and may hate ICE there, they know if they assault ICE agents, they know if they interfere, they're very likely to end up being arrested and punished. And so they don't go and do that. And so, the fact that this got out of control, to me, a lot of the blame goes on not just the rioters there, but also on Frey and other ones who are refusing to go and enforce the law. And of course, as Tom Homan, as you're going to have in the press conference, one of the things he was saying is, look, guys, why not just turn them over to us in the jails that are there? That's a lot safer. You're not going to have the type of safety issues that are there if you turn them over there. These are people who your own legal system have said are criminals. Why not turn those individuals over? And of course, they won't do that. That's a lot of the problem that's there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just astonishing to me. And you're right. We played the video earlier, but I look at this guy, Alex Preddy. He was absolutely unhinged, horrible temper. He committed felonies, as you said. If Fry and Walsh and Keith Ellison had been doing their jobs and actually enforcing the law, these people would absolutely likely be alive, or at least maybe be alive. But you're right. I think the blame goes on these elected officials there. I think they're absolutely insane. We've learned of this communication network, chat signals, and all this. Right. Before we go, we just have a couple more minutes with you here. I'm speaking to John Lott. He's the president of the Crime Prevention Research Center. I mean, you can go online, go to Amazon, buy his books, find his books, More Gun, Less Crime, and tons of others. So go find them. But you also talked about the people that really died in ICE custody. That's another, that's been miscontextualized, has it not, John?
Oh, yeah, completely. So ProPublica identifies 32 people who died in ICE custody this last year, 32 illegal aliens. Now there's a couple points to make there. One is people die at a normal rate anyway. Even 20 to 49-year-olds have a mortality rate just naturally that's several times higher than the rate that these individuals died when you consider that they had almost 600,000 in detention. The other thing is, if you go and look at the causes of death, only 3 died from any type of violence. 2 of those were from last September when an anti-ICE person was shooting up ICE vehicles thinking he was killing ICE agents and ended up killing
that's
2
right.
illegal aliens. So it wasn't even ICE's fault. And the third person got hit by a vehicle when he was running away from ICE. So ICE, if he hadn't tried to escape, he would be alive too. And so, and again, the death rate under Obama was higher than the death rate under Trump.
Okay. All right. We'll have to leave it there. John Lott, I appreciate you coming on. Go out and check out the column. I'll post it online as well.
Go to our website at crimeresearch.org. Crimeresearch.org has all that information, as well as the links to the underlying data. The New York Post doesn't include the links to the underlying data, but people should go there just to be sure that they could see the government documents.
Thank you, John. I'll make sure that I mention that several more times. We still got a lot of video to play with Tom Homan, so I'll make sure that I mention that when we go into the videos as well.
Well, thank you, Carl.
Thank you, John. And next time we will body slam Tony if he sends you the wrong link.
Okay.
I cannot believe that.
Well, I believe it or not, I've made one or two mistakes in my life too. So I don't want to. I don't want people to be really reliving those for a long time.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
thanks
All right.
for your time.
Okay, appreciate you. All right. All right, we let's just go. Oh man. Okay. All right, let's go right back. Let's go right back to it. I should do this, and let me take a quick swig. Yeah. That's a good question. How many are we at so far? Okay. All right. So let me do this one with Tom Homan. And we'll just we may do no, not all of them are. So I'll get it squared away. I had it in my mind. I had the outline, but obviously not having John on when we needed it really messed my head up, to be honest. So now I'm backtracking to kind of figure things out here. From Monday, right? Yeah. Yeah, I figured what I will use 4 from tonight and just use some for a separate podcast. The first 2 we'll probably use for a separate podcast, or maybe use next week even, or at least the first segment. We may have to do that. All right, let's do this. Oh man. I don't know how you came up with that, Gabe, but it's brilliant. Okay. All right. Yep. All right. So again, I appreciate you guys tuning in to the Carl Jackson Show. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show, The Carl Jackson Show. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on Spotify. Wherever you go to get your podcast, The Carl Jackson Show. And please like, share, and subscribe. Also, all things social media at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show. I'm sorry for the wait. I'm sorry for the little technical difficulties we were having with John Lott. We wanted to bring him in, couldn't bring him in, all that kind of stuff. So I decided to keep going with some of the information that we had. But also, I want to play more video for you because of what's transpired with Tom Homan. I think could be a game changer. Now, I'd like to see as many illegals, frankly, deported as possible. I think that we need to go after as many of the illegals that came in through the Biden administration. But I think Tom Homan is right. You start with the criminal illegal aliens first. I don't want any type of amnesty. I don't want these people to be able to vote. Right now, you have a government shutdown looming. because this is exactly what the Democrat Party wants. And guys, I got to tell you, I'm one of these people. I wouldn't mind abolishing DHS altogether and spreading out responsibilities between ICE, between Customs and Border Patrol, or the CBP. The Department of Homeland Security began after 9/11. I'm not necessarily sure that it's needed, but government will always find reasons to fund these bureaucracies. But having said that, the reason that Trump is using the Department of Homeland Security right now is to make sure that we get any criminal illegal aliens that have come into the country, and we remove as many of the illegals that came into the country under the Biden administration, most of whom likely were unvetted. We know that we had at least 2 million gotaways, and so now you have Tom Homan in the mix that has come in to basically start setting a better narrative, right? Tom Homan came in. You see that President Trump is conciliatory. He's trying to work with Mayor Fry. He's trying to work with Governor Tim Walz. He's working with AG Keith Ellison. And they've been doing a masterful job, or Tom Homan has been doing a masterful job. And I think this is the way that you need to communicate, because people take him more seriously. He's more credible. And listen, I believe that Kristi Noem is doing a good job. I believe that Greg Bovino is doing an absolutely great job, but he was just wrong to be the face of this thing. Tom Homan, that's been in this business, in that line of work, 40 years, kind of more diplomatic, but can be a tough guy as well. I think is the perfect guy for what's going on. By the way, if you want to make the case that these ICE agents are heroes, make sure you check out John Lott's column again from the New York Post, how Trump's ICE enforcement record blows Obama's out of the water by a lot. You can find the research yourself. Crimeresearch.org, crimeresearch.org, crimeresearch.org. I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you guys. Go out and get that information. You'll be truly informed when it comes to crime here. John writes about this stuff all the time, sets the record straight when it comes to Second Amendment and cases that are going on and all that kind of good stuff. He's actually an economist by trade, but he's so great with stats. It's absolutely insane. And that's why he's a bestseller. That's why he does a great job writing these columns. But Tom Homan. So Tom Homan has come into the picture. You got Minnesota officials. Obviously, he had a press conference today, and that was extremely important to change the tone of what's happening in Minneapolis. Again, we can continue to go after the bad guys, but Trump wanted more cooperation. He's getting that, obviously. Obviously, you had Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino. And guys, listen, I assumed, frankly, when they came out over the weekend and basically, hey, Alex Preddy was trying to massacre ICE agents and all this kind of stuff, I assumed, and I'll just be frank, that they had more information than I realized at the time. I'm like, obviously, they've got, they're right there. They know something that we don't know, but we found out later that they jumped the gun. That is caused a narrative mess for President Trump. Carl, are you just worried about narratives? No, it's not just about being concerned about narratives, but the bottom line is President Trump was elected mainly for a couple of things. That is to make sure that the borders are closed and to make sure the economy is booming. And so these are things that we have to get done. Remember why Democrats want illegals here? Again, it's for power. They want more electoral votes. They want more federal funding. Once you have these people densely populated in blue cities and in blue states, they'll count on the census, so they'll get more House seats. That's what they want. And ultimately, these people look at the Renee Goods, look at the seemingly Preddies of the world. These are the people. These are the leftists that buy into America systemically racist. So now you have at least Fry is actually backing out of this stuff because that guy is a complete and utter nut job. In my opinion, has no business being in office. But apparently, part of the agreement was now that these guys agreed to honor ICE detainers in prison. That will allow these guys to draw down their federal agents eventually. So obviously, if these people are in prison. Hold them in prison. Don't release them. That's important. Tom Homan said there's going to be a targeted focus on immigration. He's going to focus on criminal, illegal immigrants. He said, we are not surrendering our mission at all. We're just doing it smarter. Obviously, there's been some internal fighting, or seems like, between perhaps Homan and Kristi Noem, and his faction, her faction, so on, etc. But Tom Homan is the right man for this job, in my opinion, at least in this particular role. You have AG Keith Ellison said that now jails will notify ICE, because what they were doing is these people, these criminal illegals, were sitting in jails. They would serve their time or get ready to get released from jail, and they would be released onto the street. So according to Tom Homan, that's going to stop. That's the agreement that he made with them. Let's go to some of the clips from Tom Homan. I'm going to scroll down here, just find some of these things. I think he is the perfect man at the perfect time. I'm not sure how long cut number 32 is, but we'll start with cut number 32 and just work our way down. We may cut some of these short depending on the length of them, but I just want to give you a gist of what's going on. But honestly, this stuff is important, man. And crime is down. This is something that I didn't mention or failed to mention. I'm sorry, I said cut 32, and then I started blabbing again. But let me mention this real quick. Guys, crime is down big time. All right. I failed to mention this last week, but in the first year of Trump's second term, we've seen historic crime reduction in violent crimes, while federal arrests have soared by 100%. It's a 2025 milestone were achieved as a result of full-scale reset of the FBI operationally, culturally, and fiscally, according to Kash Patel. So the murder rates fell by 20% nationwide. That's the largest decline on record in 100 years, guys. 4 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives have been captured, matching the number detained over the prior 4 years. Also, approximately 1,800 gangs and other criminal organizations were disrupted, marking a 210% increase from the prior year. More than 2,000 kilograms, or around 4,400 pounds, of fentanyl, enough of the deadly opioid to kill more than 1/3 of the U.S. population, that has been seized. Guys, I could go on. President Trump is trying to make life safer for everyone. Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, it doesn't matter. Christians, Jews, atheists, Muslims, it doesn't matter. He's trying to get the criminal element in jail or out of the country. And you literally have people, sadly, like Renee Good or Alex Preddy, that are willing to die for pedophiles, that are willing to die for murderers, rapists. It makes no sense. If we have enough time, cut number 32, please, Gabe.
Well, first of all, about the organization and the funding of the attacks on ICE. I'm not going to answer a lot about that because I'm not going to show our hand, but they'll be held accountable. Justice is coming. Again, we got to all remember why the questions we've seen and why we're here. What started this? 4 years of an open border, where millions of people are in this country unvetted. Remember, let's not forget, for 4 years we were told the border was secure. 4 years we were told the border was secure, and we all knew it wasn't. And I want this to be a positive thing we're doing here today. I also want to remember the politicians are continually attacking us. Where were they the last 4 years when the number of women, children, sex trafficking went all-time high? Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey? Where were they when over 4,000 aliens making that journey died? Historic record. Where were they? Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years and keeping this country safe. And we're arresting a lot of public safety threats, take them off the streets, which make this country safer. President Trump promised to make this country safe again, and that's what we're doing. But my 2.5 days up here, we made a lot of progress. I think everybody agrees on the criminal and public safety threats. They agree as much.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. We got one more segment. I want to show you a little bit more of Tom Homan. You're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. You guys stay tuned. the video or the. Oh man, I went over. Oh man. Oh great. Okay. Annual drawdown coming after Thompson, Minnesota. Trump calls for Obama's arrest over new Russiagate documents. Oh man. It's not gonna happen, but oh man. Oh, all right. Let's oh, this is it's amazing. All right, let's do it. All right, guys, welcome back to the program. Just a few things that are happening in the news right now. Trump is calling for the arrest, calling for Obama to be arrested over new RussiaGate documents that apparently have been unveiled. I'm sure we'll get into that into greater detail in a later program, but that news is out there. The Senate has failed to advance a funding bill as talks about ICE continue. I would stop letting Democrats hold you hostage on this. Most people want to see these deportations. The vast majority of Americans want to see deportations take place. They didn't necessarily like the tactics, and frankly, what deportations are never going to look pretty. But one thing I don't think you do is you don't go out seeking the camera. You don't go out necessarily seeking more confrontation if you're law enforcement. You just want to do your job. And I think that's what Tom Homan is going to be able to bring to the table, working with some of these leaders in Minneapolis. Listen, you're never going to get there with Fry. I don't trust Walsh. I don't trust Fry. I don't trust Keith Ellison. Maybe Keith Ellison and Walsh will have enough sense to try to save their butts if there is something going on criminally. You know, because I believe that these guys were going to be cuffed and going away, quite frankly. And so who knows? Maybe the fear of that, even though Walsh still gets on TV and says dumb stuff. And I figure every time people show up at his office or his home in protest, he's going to come out and go against Trump. But these are some of the things that are going on. Trump says that the deal is close to a void or to avert another government shutdown. I wish we had better communicators on the right. If Democrats want to shut the government down, listen, guys, you've got people that need help in areas that are being ravaged by this winter cyclone storm. People in Mississippi that I hear, people that aren't used to this type of weather, and terrible things are going on. And this is what Democrats are trying to save their butts. Democrats are trying to save their imported. Democrats are trying to save their imported voters. That's what's going on. Trump, just real quick with Iran, Trump says time is running out. He warned Iran that time is running out to reach a deal to avert a U.S. military action. He said a fleet of ships was ready to undertake a mission compared to Washington's operation in Venezuela. He wrote on his Truth Social account the other day that he reiterated that a massive armada is heading to Iran, quote unquote, adding that it is moving quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. He also warned that any attack would be greater than the U.S. strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities in June. To me, this goes back to the issue of life. This goes back to not just the Western Hemisphere, but in a sense, Western civilization. Iran views us as the big Satan. They view Israel as the little Satan. I think that a free Iran would make for a safer world. That is my opinion, where we don't have to send troops there. Not saying that this stuff would happen overnight, but listen, I can't wait for that regime to fall. That is just me. That is my opinion. All right, let me get back to some of these cuts with Tom Homan. Let's just jump to cut number 33, if we could, Gabe. More of Tom Homan eviscerating the outraged Democrats.
I also want to remember the politicians are continually attacking us. Where were they the last 4 years?
Okay.
When the number of women and children sex trafficking went all-time high? Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey? Where were they where over 4,000 families making that journey died? Historic record. Where were they? Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years.
Stop that. Okay, so this is very effective communication. He's calm. I gotta say calmer myself sometimes. He's calm. He's asking serious questions that the audience, the mainstream media, the Democrat media are listening to. Perhaps some people at CNN might even be listening to. Who knows? But he's posing this in the right way. People that perhaps supported President Trump, perhaps couldn't stomach the tactics of Kristi Noem and Bovino, at least not in the open. And you know what I'm saying? They're listening to this, and what Tom Homan is doing is effectively putting the left on defense. All these liberals, all these people that are with their phony outrage, where were they? These women and children are crossing the border, making that trek through the desert, many of them being obviously sexually violated, many of them dying in the desert with that type of heat on that type of trek. The same is true for several men, children that have been abandoned, parents that were sending their kids with cartel members, traffickers, perhaps, with the hopes that they would make it to the United States of America. I mean, just absolutely insane. This is Tom Homan because a lot of people are concerned, a lot of MAGA people, and rightfully so. I think that's a legitimate question. Listen, is Trump slowing down? Is this Trump waving the white flag? This is Homan's take on that. Cut number 34, if we could, Gabe. He's saying that it's not surrender. You have cut 34.
The case, and that's where we're going. That's what we're going to continue to do and improve upon that. With a prioritization on public safety threats. I want to be clear. I don't read a lot of social media. I don't read a lot of media. I don't believe half what I see. We are not surrendering the president's mission on immigration enforcement. Let's make that clear. Prioritization of criminal aliens doesn't mean that we forget about everybody else. That's just simply ridiculous. But when you have a criminal standing here and a non-criminal standing there, that criminal always should be targeted first because he's a significant concern to the safety and security of the community. By and large, for decades, ICE and CBP have carried out their duties with integrity, professionalism, and compassion. That remains the expectation under President Trump, and I will, hold our agents and officers to that standard. I'm almost done, and Tom can be Tom.
All right, so that's Tom Homan, Borders are Tom Homan, saying that President Trump isn't surrendering on this issue of deporting illegal alien immigrants. But what he's going to do is they're going to focus on the criminal element first, making sure that people are safe, and then they can spend their time afterwards going after other people. But they're not surrendering on this. And they can't. They can't. Frankly, you can't. Assimilation or non-assimilated illegals entering this country will destroy this country. It's really as simple as that. They will destroy the culture, the resources. It's not about racism. It's just about common sense. Countries can't last that do this. So here you have Tom Homan setting a calmer tone, trying to shut down the rhetoric, be very communicative and share what's going on, speak loud and clear, so that everybody understands what's going on. Perhaps for the first time, people are hearing, "Oh my goodness, some of these people have done what? Oh, what did some of these people endure on that trek here?" But here you have, this is what you're still seeing on the left. So you still have Mayor Fry going crazy. He went from saying that he would help out, apparently, in talks with President Trump and backtracking on that. Now President Trump is saying, "Hey, listen, man, don't get yourself in trouble here. He warned Mayor Fry that he's playing with fire. I think it's time to stop warning these people. I think the sanctuary cities, they need to be defunded. Sanctuary states need to be defunded. I'm not the first to say it. Other people chiming in saying the same thing, but this needs to happen. I don't know why this has taken so long. But here's where the left is. This is the district attorney of Philadelphia, cut number 36. So while President Trump is trying to be conciliatory, so President Trump is trying to bring down the crazy rhetoric that led to the deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Here's what many Democrats are still sounding like. Cut number 36, please.
This is a small bunch of wannabe Nazis. That's what they are. In a country of 350 million, we outnumber them. If we have to hunt you down the way they hunted down Nazis for decades, we will find your identities. We will find you. We will achieve justice. And
you probably might go to jail.
Okay, so that was Krasner is his name, the DEA in Philadelphia. We're Nazis. They're Trump, I guess, ICE agents are Nazis for enforcing the law. You know, somebody said on one of these liberal talk shows, late night talk show hosts, well, no, at least Nazis didn't wear masks. Nazis didn't have to wear masks because they could shoot people carte blanche whenever they want to. That's not what's happening with ICE. We went over the numbers with John Lott. Honestly, the lie that they're arresting all of these Americans, these people are heroes. They are arresting mass numbers of illegal aliens and legal alien criminals with very few errors. They're not going out and hunting people. And by the way, the National Socialists, that's more aligned with the Democrat Party, not the Republican Party. But it's just nonsense. But this is where we are. Guys, I appreciate you tuning in to this edition of the Carl Jackson Show. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.